and there's holes in the back of the helmet, and you basically just peg that in, and it would kind of peg in. That's just how it is in anime, but obviously on the figure it is a little bit difficult to deal with overall, so we're just not going to mess with that. There are two pegs that you can flip out here. You flip out the top one, I believe, in this situation, and then you go ahead and take Gridman over here. You go ahead and get all of Gridman's parts ready. Essentially, for Gridman itself, you don't really need to mess with any combining ports or whatever, or like any like articulation stuff. All you have to do is kind of peg this backpack onto this upper peg in the back, if it wants to cooperate. This peg is kind of loose, so it'll actually keep falling backwards, which is kind of annoying. So you peg it like that. Actually, I think it's the other one, so let's go ahead and peg this, because it is supposed to sit a little higher on the back than the other configuration. And like that, you bend the wings on top in an upper like way. The helmet, there's two opening parts. There's this top part, and then as well as this kind of facial mask that opens up, and you kind of just pop it in and then pop it over. That way the facial mask part actually covers Gridman's face. So there that is. It actually looks really nice, actually. And then you go ahead and if it wants to stay on, and, you go ahead and slide Gridman's legs into the booster itself. There is this little peg right here, and there's a tab in the back that when you close it, it'll lock it in place. And that's basically just what you want to do, and like that, and that'll keep it on in a sense. So same with the other one, like that. So there that is. Let me go ahead and get this back on, because it just does not want to cooperate with me at the moment. But yeah, so there is Sky Gridman. I know you guys can't see it very well, and I apologize. Let me just tilt the camera up a little bit. And there's that. So yeah, it takes a good while. Takes a little bit longer with the hoses, but yeah, it looks pretty cool. It has a very cool feel to it. Articulation, he does still have that bend at the knee. It actually does hold the legs up pretty okay, because they are kind of hollow. But oh, yeah, that helmet really likes to fall off. The helmets, they all don't really have a way to really connect in there. It's more or less just snug fit on it. So that is kind of annoying. Now let's go ahead and bring in this special adapter. Now this is actually kind of funny, because it's actually at this angle, because you go ahead and you just you connect it via all the ports that connected the legs together in Sky Victor mode. And yeah, so that's basically like that, like a weird tree. And then let me go ahead and prop that on the stand for you guys. Yeah, like I said, there are some things that are a little bit of a hassle on this figure. It is less of a playability sort of thing, and more of kind of sit there and display sort of thing. There's that. So there he is in his Sky Victor configuration on the stand. I'm not gonna lie, it does look a little weird, because it looks like this whole gap is being filled right there, which makes it all look just like one continuous thing, as opposed to his two legs just flying around. So there's that. Now let's go ahead and finish up this video with Buster Boar, and then I'll go into the next video for Powered Zenon, as well as full Powered Gridman. So go ahead and take that off. Now, one of the problems was the connection on these legs are pretty loose, so they actually fall off. They don't feel as solid as really anything else I've ever seen, just because just how they're connected. It's a friction, and you just lift the tab, and it just unlocks. But the tab itself isn't that long. I'm not sure how well you guys can see in there, but I think they did this to not mess with the paint on the back of the leg. But at the same time, it doesn't. The figure kind of suffers for that situation. So go ahead and put that to the side. Now let's move on to the last configuration, which is Buster Boar. So go ahead and take the tank. The tank itself does have wheels, so it can't roll. Ooh, it actually rolls pretty well. You can also see one of the very fun problems about this. Go ahead and take off the helmet, which powers Xenon's head, as well as the full combined Gridman's head. Put that to the side. Here is Buster Boar. It's a nice little tank. It fits in the palm of your hand. Pretty interesting size. Now let's go ahead and take this out. Go ahead and flip those out. Flip this whole assembly forward, and then you can go ahead and flip up the cannons and separate them as well. Now, and just go ahead and rotate around so it's in the front. So this is basically your front configuration. There is a peg in here that you can go ahead and flip up, and that actually pegs into the front of Gridman's chest. And what's cool about that peg is that it actually does it via like a compression spring, so it'll compress the jewel on Gridman's front part, and you can go ahead and kind of peg it in like that. So you basically want to have it in this configuration, and then go ahead for accuracy's sake, let's go ahead and get this piece, which is the connector piece. Now you can go ahead and peg that underneath, and this whole assembly will just peg into Gridman's chest, like so. And there is Buster Gridman in his cool Buster glory. Just kidding, because you're missing his helmet. Now this helmet, I hate this helmet. Screw this helmet. This is the most dumbest helmet that I've ever had. First off, the stickers are these black pieces as well as this silver piece on top. Just the way it's designed, it like does a lot of folding, but it's not super secure. Honestly, I wouldn't have mind if they just pinned everything, and that way as a user you don't have to deal with it constantly trying to fall apart inside of his head. Now you can go ahead and pop this over, or you're supposed to pop it over his fin. Now the problem is once you pop it over, it actually falls apart. I'm hard pressed to say that the way I do it, I just let it fall apart. So it falls apart in these two sections, and this is the top part. So what I basically do is I plop it over. Yeah, I poop it over, and you pop it over like that, and that is basically how it's supposed to be. And then I take this part that falls off very often, and I just go ahead and just throw it back on there, because it seems like this is the best way to do it, just because of how I don't really like dealing with all those parts falling off while I'm messing with it, and just going ahead and doing it like that. And then there you have him in his completed Buster Gridman mode, which is it's more of the wackier ones. It doesn't look as cool as the other ones, but what's cool about this one is all the missiles and cannons. So you can go ahead and pry these cannons open right here, like that. A little bit saucy there. And then basically you just pop him open, and he has this piece in front. This is where the stickers are supposed to go. Like I said, they are a little bit of a hassle on that one. There it is popping out of the chest. Let me go ahead and pop that in if it doesn't give me a hard time. Alright, there we go. So there that is. And then for the other weapons, you can go ahead and fold that forward. Get the handle out. You can go ahead and put the open hands in there. And this is supposed to be for his other attack, when he uses these guns in the front. And then you can open up these hatches in the front, which will reveal some guns in there, or some little missiles, which is kind of cool. So that's his full Buster configuration. So there's that. And then, yeah, let's go ahead and end the video right here. That way we can take some time to go over the full combined Gridman as well as the powered Xenon. So I hope you guys enjoyed the first part of this very interesting figure. And see you guys for the next part.